Okay, this one is a quick little review of some things I was discussing with Matt Cohen on layers, layer masking, and making some adjustments for what a blown out sky might look like. I'm in Lightroom right now, but I typically always start there. But I'm not going to do any editing there. I'm taking it all over to Photoshop to show you what I was looking at as far as using the Camera Raw filter, some adjustment layers and layer masking to work around with different things on this image. Yeah, my brush is way oversized. Yeah, and the kid's eating in the background and playing, so we're having fun. So, with the background layer, I always make a duplicate just to work from. Command or Control J does that. You can also right click on the layer and just say duplicate layer, but either way works. Alright, and then up here, filter, Camera Raw filter, brings up all the same adjustments that you'll see in Lightroom or in Adobe Camera Raw if you just open a raw file from Photoshop. But you have your exposure sliders, so you can pull that down, contrast, highlights, and then your white balance and black, well, not white balance, but white point and black point. So all those sliders help you pick where to adjust this to. And you can turn on and off your highlight alert and shadow alert as well. So if you bring this down, let's see if that's on. Yeah, it'll show you when you start to clip the shadows and highlights this way. Now, I'm editing a raw file here, so it goes a lot further than if you were using a JPEG. You wouldn't be able to push this as far. But you can still get quite a bit of detail using the highlight slider and your exposure levels, even with a JPEG. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Now, what I was saying about creating a layer mask, so if there were an area here that you wanted to go back to the original exposure, this little icon down here with the rectangle with a circle in it creates a layer mask. And you can pretty easily, and I'll just go opacity on my brush at 100%, just black on the mask will remove that part of the image from visibility, basically. So as you paint, you are taking this part of that adjusted image out, and you can switch back to white and put it back in. So it's a quick way to go in and really fine tune, I don't know, just pick something and you can bring it back to what is underneath in the original layer. And I'm just doing this really rough to give you an idea, but so something like that. And you can do these masks on adjustment layers and pretty much any layer that you have in there. So one of the other common uses that I do with this is dodge and burn by using a curve. So if you bring the exposure back up on this one and invert that so it's black on the mask, it kind of has the same effect as what I just showed you.
We have something for you. What? For me.
Painting in white on there to let that adjustment show through brings that exposure back. And conversely, if you create another one and bring it down,
What's this?
you can pull that exposure down. And I'm just creating weird things, but if you use the Alt key or Option key on a Mac and click on that, it shows you what your mask looks like. So with any mask, the white shows through and the black is hidden from that layer, and the gray tone is anything in between. So, get rid of those. Go back to just this original layer. One other quick neat trick to do is using channels, and this is a little bit more advanced, but it gets you some interesting effects. If you control or command on the Mac and click on the RGB layer icon, what this is doing is actually selecting the highlight areas of the image.
What?
Go back over here and we'll just create a new layer,
There's some snacks.
and then
There's
create that mask. So if you alt click on that, the mask is actually a gray tone copy of the image. Now what that'll let you do here is if you just add a color
ice cream.
to that layer,
This is ice
it's
cream.
masked onto
Ice cream.
the highlight areas of the image. So do something like a soft light. And what that does is just kind of tints the image. And if we do the same thing and create another layer, this time I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key when I create the layer, and that inverts it so it's negative. And just pick a different color and be weird about this, but go in here and set the blending mode to multiply. So that's adding this purple color into the shadows of the image. So those are just some of the fun little tricks and techniques you can do with masks. And then you can go in here if you really wanted to and, you know, add more to the mask, paint it in if you want to isolate things or whatever. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a few tricks to play with on editing your images, and let me know if you have any questions.